July 11, 1804, early morning, still dark. A rocky ledge overlooking the Hudson River between New York and New Jersey. Two men stand facing each other. Both are famous. Both have shaped the nation. Both have served at the highest levels of government. Alexander Hamilton, first Secretary of the Treasury, architect of America's financial system, a Revolutionary War hero, one of the most brilliant minds in the founding generation. Aaron Burr, Vice President of the United States, a Revolutionary War officer, a successful lawyer, one of the most ambitious politicians of his era. They're holding pistols. Within minutes, one will be mortally wounded. Here's what's extraordinary. They're not dueling over corruption, not over treason, not over fundamental disagreements about how to govern the nation. They're dueling over words, over insults, over slights to personal honor, over things that today would maybe warrant an angry tweet, maybe a heated cable news argument, but certainly not a sunrise encounter with loaded pistols. Yet here they are. Two of the most important men in the young United States, about to settle a political dispute with violence. Modern American politics feels bitter, divided, full of anger and hostility. Politicians attack each other viciously, hurl insults, question integrity, spread rumors. We look at this and think, this is unprecedented. This is the worst polarization has ever been. But we're wrong. The Burr-Hamilton duel is a reminder that American politics was once so polarized, so personal, so vicious, that it literally turned deadly. I'm Keith Conrad, and this is Sidequests. Today, the duel that killed a founding father, the political feud that became fatal, and what it teaches us about how polarization has actually, in some ways, improved. To understand why Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr came to stand facing each other with pistols, you have to understand who these men were. Alexander Hamilton, born in the Caribbean, orphaned, raised in poverty, but brilliant, ambitious, self-made. He came to America, caught the eye of George Washington, became an officer in the Revolutionary War. After the war, he became the first Secretary of the Treasury under George Washington. His vision, a strong central government, a national bank, a system of public credit, government bonds, a financial infrastructure that would allow America to grow and prosper. He wrote extensively, argued brilliantly, rarely held back his opinions. He was sharp-tongued, cutting, quick to criticize. He made enemies easily because he was so openly contemptuous of people he considered inferior intellectually or morally. He was also brilliant. There's no question about that. His financial system became the foundation of American prosperity, but he was also deeply flawed, arrogant, vindictive, thin-skinned, beneath the aggressive exterior. Aaron Burr, also ambitious, also brilliant, also charming in ways Hamilton wasn't. Burr was more politically savvy, more calculating, better at reading the room, better at winning people over. Burr wanted to build a political career, wanted power, wanted influence, wanted to rise to the highest levels. Both men were products of the Revolutionary War. Both had served with distinction. Both believed they should have major roles in building the new nation, and both believed the other was fundamentally unfit to hold power. The conflict didn't start suddenly. It developed over years, over different political visions, over personal rivalries, over competing for influence in New York politics. Hamilton supported stronger central government. Burr was more skeptical of centralized power. They clashed repeatedly. Then came 1800, the presidential election of 1800. Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr tie in the Electoral College. The election goes to the House of Representatives to decide. Now, here's the irony. Hamilton and Jefferson fundamentally disagreed on almost everything. Hamilton wanted strong central government. Jefferson wanted states' rights and a smaller federal government. They were bitter enemies on policy. But Hamilton believed something even more important. Aaron Burr was unprincipled. Burr was willing to do anything for power. Burr couldn't be trusted with the presidency, so Hamilton did something remarkable. He set aside his fundamental policy disagreements with Jefferson and worked to get Jefferson elected instead of Burr. From Burr's perspective, Hamilton had stabbed him in the back. Burr had believed that with Hamilton's support, or at least neutral stance, he might become president. Instead, Hamilton actively worked against him. It was a turning point. The rivalry became personal, became bitter, became something deeper than policy disagreement. Over the next 4 years, Hamilton repeatedly criticized Burr's character, questioned his integrity, said things publicly and privately designed to damage Burr's reputation, and Burr increasingly viewed Hamilton not just as a political opponent, but as the chief obstacle to his ambitions, the man responsible for his failures, the man who had to be defeated. In 1804, Aaron Burr decides to run for governor of New York. It's an important race, a stepping stone, a chance to prove he can win. Hamilton, seeing Burr as a threat, decides to campaign against him, not openly, quietly, behind the scenes, privately telling people that Burr shouldn't be elected. Burr loses the race. Frustrated, angry, convinced that Hamilton sabotaged him, Burr reads something in a newspaper, something that sets him off, a report that Hamilton had expressed a despicable opinion of Burr during a dinner conversation, a particularly harsh judgment of Burr's character. Burr sees this and decides enough is enough. He writes to Hamilton, demands an explanation, demands that Hamilton clarify what he said or retract it. Hamilton responds by saying he can't specifically recall what he said, so he can't retract it. The correspondence becomes increasingly heated. Back and forth, letters exchanged, voices getting louder, positions hardening. Here's where it gets important. Modern politics. What would happen today? Burr goes on cable news, says Hamilton is attacking his character more. Hamilton responds on Twitter. Their supporters pile on. Maybe it becomes a legal matter. Maybe Burr files a defamation lawsuit. There's anger, there's hostility, there's escalation. But it ends with rhetoric, with media appearances, with political maneuvering. You just saw 1804, it ends with an invitation to a duel. This is the part that seems insane to modern people. Why would two of the nation's highest officials decide that the appropriate way to settle this was to shoot at each other? Several reasons. First, dueling was illegal in New York and many other places, but it was still part of elite culture, part of how gentlemen of standing were expected to behave, part of the code of honor. Second, honor mattered in ways we don't quite understand today. Your reputation was your political currency. A public insult could destroy your career. A challenge to your character was a challenge to your ability to function in society. If you were publicly insulted and didn't respond, didn't demand satisfaction, you could be seen as weak, as a coward. That perception could end your political career. Third, there was an elaborate system, the Code Duello, rules that governed how duels were conducted. Seconds, friends of each man, were supposed to attempt reconciliation before the duel happened. The goal, in theory, wasn't always to kill. It was to restore honor, to prove that you were willing to stand up for yourself. Fourth, practicality. Dueling was illegal in New York. Enforcement was weak across the Hudson River in New Jersey, so men who wanted to duel, who felt their honor required it, crossed the river to a place where the legal consequences were less severe. Interestingly, the same cliffs at Weehawken, where Hamilton and Burr dueled, had already seen another famous duel just 3 years earlier. In 1801, Hamilton's own son, Philip Hamilton, had dueled with a political opponent and was killed. So Hamilton had personal tragic experience with the consequences of dueling, yet he accepted Burr's challenge anyway. July 11th, 1804. It's early, still dark. The two men arrive at the dueling ground. Their seconds are with them. The pistols are prepared. They take their positions, facing each other a certain distance apart. Now what happens next is historically debated. There are different accounts from different people who were supposedly there. Hamilton had reportedly expressed moral reservations about dueling. He may have intended to intentionally fire his shot into the air to throw away his shot rather than aim at Burr, a way of refusing to participate in the violence while maintaining his honor. Burr doesn't do that. Burr fires, the shot hits Hamilton in the abdomen, a mortal wound. Hamilton is struck, falls, wounded, bleeding. They immediately move him, get him back across the river to New York, to a doctor, to medical care, but the wound is fatal. The bullet has damaged internal organs. There's no surgery that can fix this. Hamilton dies the next day. July 12th, 1804, in agony, aware he's dying, aware that his life is ending because of a duel he may never have wanted to fight. Burr survives. physically intact, but his life, his reputation, his career, his legacy is destroyed. Immediately, there are consequences. Aaron Burr is the sitting vice president of the United States. He's also wanted for murder in both New York and New Jersey. Imagine that. The vice president of the United States is a fugitive, wanted for killing one of the founding fathers. He never goes to trial for Hamilton's death. The legal case is dropped, but his political career is finished. He's become a pariah, a man who killed another man over political disagreements. He serves out the rest of his term as vice president, but he's effectively exiled from politics. Nobody wants to associate with him. Hamilton's death elevates him, ironically, to martyr status. Among many Federalists, Hamilton becomes a symbol of martyrdom. His ideas gain strength, his financial system becomes even more entrenched. His absence makes his ideas seem more important. Burr, meanwhile, tries to rebuild. A few years later, he gets involved in a scheme, a conspiracy to create an independent nation in the American West. It's never entirely clear exactly what he was trying to do, but he's arrested and tried for treason. He's acquitted, but the trial finishes what the duel started. His reputation is destroyed. He eventually leaves the country, goes into exile, spends the rest of his life trying to rebuild a reputation that will never recover. The man who was vice president of the United States becomes a footnote, known primarily for the duel, for killing Hamilton. Here's what the Burr-Hamilton duel actually teaches us about modern politics. Modern American politics is polarized, bitter, full of anger. Politicians attack each other viciously, question each other's motives, spread rumors, make it personal. We look at this and think, this is the worst it's ever been. American politics has never been this divided. But we're wrong. American politics has been more divided, more bitter, more violent. In 1804, the bitterness literally turned deadly. People died because of political disputes. And here's what we don't realize. American politics actually got better at managing intense conflict. We found ways to channel anger and disagreement without violence. We developed robust institutions, courts, media, electoral systems, ways for people to be furiously angry at each other while still maintaining the system. Does modern politics look terrible? Sure, it's personal, it's hostile. People question each other's motives constantly, but at least it doesn't end with someone shooting someone else at dawn. That's progress. That's an achievement of American political culture. We've managed to maintain the capacity for intense disagreement without resorting to violence. The Burr-Hamilton duel is also a reminder about how we remember the Founding Fathers. We tend to imagine them as figures carved in marble, wise statesmen, principled philosophers, men who rose above personal interest for the good of the nation. Calm architects of democracy. The Burr-Hamilton duel reminds us they were also human. Very human. They held grudges. Deep ones, years-long feuds based on personal slights. They spread rumors, attacked each other in newspapers, made things personal. They questioned each other's integrity, not on policy grounds, but fundamental character questions. They said things about each other that were designed to damage reputations. And sometimes, in the case of Burr and Hamilton, their disputes escalated to violence. They were brilliant men, but they were also flawed, vain, proud, vindictive, capable of consumed by personal resentments in ways that clouded their judgment. The image we have of the Founding Fathers is partly accurate and partly fantasy. They built institutions that have lasted centuries. They created a system that, despite its flaws, has allowed for stability and evolution. But they also shot each other over political disagreements. So what does the Burr-Hamilton duel teach us? First, polarization is not new. America has experienced intense political division before, deeper than what we see today, more violent, more dangerous. Second, institutions matter. Over time, America developed institutions, courts, media, elections that allowed for intense disagreement without violence. That's not a small achievement. Third, the founders were human, flawed, capable of pettiness and vindictiveness. We shouldn't view them as wise sages above the fray. They were in the fray, fighting viciously, personally. Fourth, things can improve. We've managed to have intense political conflict in America, sometimes very intense, without it regularly turning to violence. That's progress. That's an improvement. July 11th, 1804. A rocky ledge overlooking the Hudson River. Two brilliant men, two pistols, one fatal shot. Alexander Hamilton, the brilliant architect of American finance, dies because of a political dispute with Aaron Burr, the Vice President of the United States. It seems almost unbelievable. Two of the nation's highest leaders settling a political disagreement with violence. We look at modern American politics and see bitterness, polarization, hostility, and we're right to be concerned. Modern politics does have real problems, real divisions, but at least it doesn't end with someone dead on a dueling ground at sunrise. The Burr-Hamilton duel reminds us that American political culture has actually improved in one fundamental way. We figured out how to have intense disagreements, sometimes very intense, without resorting to violence to settle them. That might not seem like much, but it's the foundation of everything else, because you can't have democracy if people are shooting each other over political disputes. The Founding Fathers, brilliant as they were willing to kill each other over personal slights. Modern Americans, for all our flaws and divisions, have at least moved past that. That's the real legacy of the Burr-Hamilton duel. A reminder that we've come further than we sometimes realize, that American political culture, despite its current problems, has actually become more mature, more stable, more committed to settling disputes through words rather than weapons. We're not perfect. We're not even close to perfect. But we're better than we were. And that's worth remembering.